To the guy in my bedroom. I was a 23-year-old female at that time and a student. I was living alone in a small apartment complex not too far away from my school. I've never liked living alone. I was also afraid of the dark. However, I always felt safe in my little apartment. It only had one way to get in, and you needed to unlock 2 doors to get inside, the main front door to the building and the door to my apartment. I also used to have a few lights on, even at night, and my laptop was usually playing some movie until I fell asleep. I always locked my door, except this one time. One weekend I was out drinking with my friends, and when I was going back home I ended up sharing a taxi with a random guy that was going to the same area as me. We both jumped out of the taxi outside my place and talked for a little while. He was about the same age as me and said he was also a student. He walked me to my front door and we said goodnight, and I went inside. Some weeks, maybe a month later, I decided to stay home that weekend. I was just watching some series in bed until I fell asleep. Suddenly I woke up to a voice. I couldn't really hear what the voice was saying, but I could hear it was a man talking. I opened my eyes. The room was dark, but I could see a shadow standing in the doorway to my bedroom. I froze. My adrenaline started pumping. I couldn't scream, I just kept staring at the figure. I thought I must be dreaming. This has to be a nightmare, but I understood quickly my biggest fear had come true. He stopped talking and I asked quietly, "Who are you?" He took a step closer and whispered, "Don't you remember me?" He was clearly drunk, but I suddenly could see it was the same guy I shared a taxi with some weeks ago. I felt some weird feeling of relief that I recognized him, but at the same time I was horrified. My thoughts started spinning. What did he want? Why was he here? I didn't know what to do. There's no place to hide or run to. My first thought was to try to stay calm, so I just asked quietly what he was doing here. "I was thinking about you," he said and continued. "I turned off your lights and closed your laptop." He smiled. I kept looking at him. I was still in my bed, still didn't know what to do. I felt sick of the thought of him walking around my apartment while I was sleeping, but decided that I will continue to stay calm. I asked him how he got into my building. He said that he had been ringing my doorbell, but I didn't open, so he tried my neighbor's doorbell and someone opened up for him. He also went into my neighbor's apartment, but realized it wasn't mine. He then saw my name at the door and went in. I think he could see the fear in my eyes. He suddenly turned around and said, "I think I should go." He stumbled out and I went after him. Right before he left, he said, "You should really lock your door." I shut the door in his face and locked it. I went back to bed and cried. I didn't sleep for the rest of the night. I never called the police, but I told my friends the next day. The following months, someone would ring my doorbell every now and then. In the middle of the night, I would get an anxiety attack every time. I never opened up, but I had a feeling it could be him. I never saw the guy again. I'm so relieved nothing happened that night, and from this day I always double-check that I have locked. I also removed my name from the door. So to this guy, let's not meet again. Close call. Pervert in my house. I was a pretty and relatively smart 15-year-old girl, a good kid who did well in school despite a tough childhood. I was working at an amusement park full-time during the summer. The area I lived in could be sketchy, but having grown up with little to no adult supervision, I was used to trying to look out for myself. My father was out of town, mother was long out of the picture, and my sister, 3 years older, and myself were staying at our home alone. I finished work at 11 p.m. when the park closed and walked home by myself as I usually did. It wasn't far, perhaps 10 minutes. I arrived home. My sister was still out somewhere and I got ready for bed, putting my pajamas on and crawled into bed. I was starting to fall asleep but heard a small noise. I didn't know what it was, but it didn't seem like a usual house noise. My bedroom was on the second floor with stairs leading up. I didn't hear anything after that noise, didn't investigate, just chalked it up to nothing. I started to fall back asleep when I heard what sounded like hesitant footsteps on the stairs. I was instantly awake, but in my mind it was my sister coming home and climbing the stairs where her bedroom was. Still in bed, I yelled out, "Wendy! Wendy, is that you?" I heard nothing back. I yelled again, "Wendy, is that you?" Nothing. More footsteps. I was petrified, but as I tell the story to this day, I don't understand some of my reactions that night, so really can't explain them. I got out of bed, opened the ajar bedroom door fully, and went out to the stairs, where I stood at the top. Below me, about halfway up the stairs, was a man I had never seen before. He looked to be early 20s, a little taller than my 5 feet 7 inches. Not a big guy, but solid with blonde curly hair. I asked him what he was doing. His reply was a garbled mess, something along the lines of, "Where's Wendy? My mother told me not to get mixed up with women. Where's Wendy?" From his manner and wild-eyed look, he seemed like he may have been doing drugs. He had followed me home from the park and was asking, "Where's Wendy?" in response to me calling out for her. For some reason, I got very angry, not just scared, and started screaming at him to get out of the house, that I was going to call my father and Wendy and he needed to just get out. To my surprise, he did. He turned around, ran back down the stairs, and I didn't see where he went after that, but it turns out he must have left. I have no idea how he got in, but he was definitely there for me. That's why he followed me. Not burglary or anything else. He was looking to rape and who knows what else. I think the only reason he left was because he had no idea where my sister Wendy was. Thought she was in the house, and it was an added complication to him getting caught. I was so shaken. I stayed up the rest of the night. I didn't call the cops, didn't call a friend. The only person I told was my sister the next day. I don't know why. I just sat in a rocking chair, clutching my cat and rocking and crying, staying awake till the next morning. My sister never did come home that night. She stayed at a friend's and came home the next day. This happened 35 years ago. I never told anyone until now. My friends and I were followed home. This happened a year ago, but I still think about it. Me, 17 female, and my friends, 19 female, had the munchies and went to Taco Bell at 2 a.m. So we took my mom's car and went on our journey. On our way home, though, my friends took a wrong turn and ended up in a cul-de-sac. As we were turning around, a resident on the street gets into his truck and starts pulling out right in front of our car. Us thinking he's going out somewhere, waits for him to go, but he just sits there for a second before getting out and coming towards the driver's side. I'm in the back driver's side, so I can see him in clear view. He walks up to my friend driving and starts yelling at her to slow down and that she's going too fast down the street, this and that, until he started banging on my friend's window and tried opening her door. For what reasons are you trying to open a car full of teenagers? What are you going to do? I can see him doing this, so I tell my friend to drive because I don't want to be sitting here anymore. She pulls the fuck off and he jumps in his car behind us. Halfway out the street, I noticed and stuck my entire upper half out the window, yelling at him. At this point, he's chasing us while I'm giving my friend directions back to my house. All our phones dead or at 1%. He ends up in front of us and cornered us in another cul-de-sac up the street. My friend driving in people's lawns to get away. Eventually, he followed us all the way home. My friends ran inside to tell my mom. I run straight for the car yelling at him. He asked what I yelled out the car, and I said to his face, "You fucking baby-ass bitch." He gets upset and almost gets out the car when he sees my mom come out the house and tries leaving, so I stood behind his truck yelling the license plate numbers. She makes it to him, and his entire demeanor changes, acting innocent like he was scared. I was told to go inside, and my mom obviously gives him some words of wisdom. She tells me he followed us home because someone ran over his dog a while back because they were speeding through the street, which I do not believe, but still gives no excuse to following teenage girls home. So to the bald man in the red truck, you're a fucking baby-ass bitch.